Hello, everyone. Welcome to Global Government News. Today's Friday, April 24th, 2020, and I'm Darko. This is my website. Well, it was my website for a long time, ggnonline.com. Long story, but to make it short, I tried renewing the domain and it wouldn't let me. So a website that cost me about $11 a year and I put a lot of work into is now estimated value of almost $1,600. So that was kind of bittersweet to watch. But I do have my DDarko 2013 channel. I do have access to it. I didn't know that I had access to it this whole time, but I'm not back for good. I'm just going to make a couple of videos about this whole COVID-19 pandemic lockdown quote crisis. As we all know, when you hear crisis, it's usually some kind of agenda that's going on behind the scenes. Right off the bat, I'll just say from day one, I kind of felt like this thing was definitely created in a lab. And of course, there was a lot of information out there in the news saying that it wasn't, and don't listen to conspiracy theories. And slowly it's coming out, and it will come out that it was made in a lab in the United States, sold or given to China to develop, and then released from there. The U.S. knew about it. Last fall. It was actually already here in September, October, November, December, January, and they didn't have the cases of people dying like they're saying. So basically, they knew it was coming, and they wanted people to get infected so that they could shut everything down. They even had exercises for it last fall as well, for the same exact scenario and what they would do. And they came up with terms like social distancing. As soon as I saw that, the way it was all being laid out a little over a month ago, I just knew that this whole thing didn't smell right. They had signs already. They had that buzz term, social distancing. I'm like, dude, this is complete social engineering. It was really kind of irritating and pissing me off because up until this point, I've been kind of able to avoid all of this stuff as much as I can and just try to live my life. And this has been in my face and affecting me personally, which is why it does kind of piss me off. And knowing that it's being done as a social experiment and there's an agenda behind it, it pisses me off even more enough to, make these videos. Anyways, on this video, I'm going to focus on the actual lockdown, and I have a bunch of articles that I can put in 2 other videos that will get into the vaccine part and some other stuff. I hope you guys are all doing well. This first one is from March 16th, so kind of in the really beginning of this whole thing. America may need a 14-day national quarantine because of coronavirus, says the expert. Of course, all of the experts have been rolled out to us, and unfortunately, masses of American people around the world are listening to them. They said that they called it a stunning call for a 14-day national quarantine. Personally, I didn't think that they were going to actually do this. I really didn't see that they were going to go this far. But as each day went on, and I saw articles in the media just getting people prepared for it, just with the programming, this could take this long, this could go on for another couple weeks, another couple months, it could last till next year. They're preparing people for it, for when the bad news comes, they'll already be ready for it and accept it, basically a form of engineered consent, as we all know. And of course, Trump's been, flip-flopping on everything. He seems to be against this, but he's doing everything he can to keep the lockdown going. Said he isn't looking at a national quarantine. This is something that I noticed too, just in all the stores. In many respects, a national quarantine is well underway and being driven by corporate America. So they were right at the forefront. That's what they do with everything as far as the globalist and social engineering agenda goes, which is they are at the forefront of pushing all this stuff with putting stickers on the floors, and they don't have any problem with it. I mean, a lot of it has to do with liability, but still. So I wasn't surprised when I saw this. Global brands, including McDonald's, Audi, Volkswagen, create social distancing versions of their logos to encourage coronavirus safety. Here's some of them, the golden arches and all that. Try to get down to the Audi one. Yeah, there's Audi. Keep your distance. People are being advised by national governments to stand around 6 feet apart from each other to minimize the risk of catching the potentially deadly virus. When I first heard this, I was like, no way are people going to actually do this? And I was actually really, really shocked that people are not questioning this at all. They're just they're standing where they're being told to stand on these little footprints. And it really has nothing to do with preventing the spread of the virus. It has everything to do with telling people where to stand, when to move, when you can do this. There's even an article that I'll get to later that says that, 6 feet isn't even really enough. And like they said in the beginning, masks won't really do anything anyways. But now they're requiring people to wear masks in certain states. And I thought, that's not going to happen here. But it's happening here. Even in the store today, I notice it every day. It's something new. It's more. It's always something. Every time I seem to go out, I see another sign due to fucking COVID-19. They're going to mess with your life somehow. We're asking customers to please wear a mask when you come inside. We're asking you to take a shopping cart to promote social distancing. When I went to a store and they told me that, and I was like, I seen them counting how many people can be in the store at one time. And then when they try to give me a cart and say, this promotes social distancing, I was like, man, fuck this, dude. And I just left because it's just every time it's something else. So our big buddy, Uncle Bill Gates, is at the center of this because he's been talking about depopulation measures and too many people on the planet and how vaccines are going to help fix that. And then he is behind a lot of this research that happened in the U.S. and in China to develop this virus. And of course, he'll be there to help develop the vaccine. So just listen to Uncle Bill and he'll take care of you. Bill Gates warns 6 to 10 weeks of total isolation is the best case scenario for the U.S. and says you can't ignore the pile of bodies in the corner for those that want to just be able to go to work and continue their lives, because this is killing a lot of people. Well, actually it's not, but they're making people think that. They're giving the appearance of that by messing with numbers and statistics. Then we have another one. Britons will not get back to normal life for 6 months or more, warns Deputy Chief Medical Officer. And this is before Easter, so same with Trump, they wanted it to be over. She said that they would know after Easter if the lockdown has squashed the coronavirus outbreak. Of course, they're still going on. Actually, the measures have gotten more draconian out in England, harassing old people at parks and stuff, and drones flying around telling people to stay indoors. And I've already heard about us reaching the peak or going over the curve. That was like 2 weeks ago, and they keep saying that, like, when we get over the hump and all this, but it's already happened. So this is from March 29th, so this is 24 days ago. They started this from day one, telling people this. Even if the draconian restrictions do succeed in squashing the peak of the outbreak, reverting to a, quote, normal way of life immediately would probably lead to a disastrous new spike in infections. So that's right, this is not going to end. That's all part of the plan. Which way can they strip us of our freedoms, basically, our basic rights? And a virus and a pandemic is the best way to do it. So Bill Gates and other people say that the lockdown won't end until there's a vaccine. Until everyone is vaccinated. So it's kind of like a form of blackmail, but holding us hostage, holding society hostage, imprisoning society, until they take their vaccine. And it's basically what he's saying with a smirk on his face. Bill Gates says coronavirus vaccine is 18 months away. So 18 months we're going to be in lockdown. And computer models, the same source that gave us all these bogus statistics about how many people are going to die and why we should do all this and basically destroy our economy. We worked how long? How hard for how long? Since 2008? Since they effed us that last time, right? With the, quote, recession crisis where they stole a bunch of money from us and our wealth, and still feeling that. So we finally get back up and going, and let's destroy that. Let's just destroy it in a single month over the flu. So the computer models say estimate how much longer. So they say another month. Federal coronavirus plan predicts at least 18-month pandemic and warns there will be shortages as it prepares for multiple waves of illnesses. So that's what I was saying. I'm thinking like September, like 6 months, is when they're going to actually get into that phase 3 where they're going to end the social distancing requirement, which means people could actually go to sports events and do different things that they can't do right now. It'll be like up until September, 6 months. And then, of course, right around that time, you'll start having the regular flu, and then they'll call that the killer coronavirus has come back to kill us all. And see, we opened our society up too soon. We opened up our economy too soon, and we shouldn't have done that. So let's shut it all down. So we'll probably get about a month or two of freedom, and that'll be our Christmas Day, New Year's present from our masters at the top. Is to shut everything down in January or February. And it'll probably just keep doing this. And then people will just revert back to that initial programming that they're going through right now, which is to social distance. And, the whole goal is to not have those stickers on the ground. It's so that people will start social distancing, staying away from each other, not going out, doing anything, without being told to do so, without their, being some kind of false fake pandemic. And the whole food shortages and that is all part of the plan with austerity, which is what they've always been trying to push. That's what 2008 was about too. Austerity measures get people used to having less, and eventually till they scale it down to where we're just fighting each other over scraps. And it's more about control and also population control. Then we have Ezekiel Emanuel, whoever he is, says that the U.S. must stay locked down for 12 to 18 months until there's a vaccine. So it says we will not be able to return to normalcy until we find a vaccine. So that's the kind of the mantra, is that even if we do, it's not going back to normal. U.S. should prepare for an 18-month lockdown, says this Neil Kashkari. It's a sobering outlook. It's grim. So I didn't know who this guy was until now. He's actually the head of the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis. So very good for them. They're printing trillions of dollars, and they're gonna come out of this doing very well. The Federal Reserve and people who lend money. This could be a long, hard road that we have ahead of us, basically until we have a vaccine. So the head of the Fed in Minneapolis talking about we're gonna be on lockdown in prison until a vaccine. I mean, interesting. Bill Gates, he just said this yesterday, as things get back to semi-normal, it's impossible to overstate the pain that lies in the years ahead. He said, no one who lives through Pandemic 1 will ever forget it. That's the point. It's part of the program. I guess Pandemic 1 means that there's more to follow, right? And that's why I say we're not going back to normal. It's a semi-normal, right? It's an adjusted society that these people like Bill Gates have envisioned for us, and now they're making it happen. People can go out. Oh, we can go out? Great, thanks, Bill. But just not as often, and not to crowded places. Picture restaurants that only seat people at every other table, and airplanes where every middle seat is empty. He believes that schools will reopen, but stadiums won't. The basic principle should be to allow activities that have a large benefit to the economy or human welfare, but pose a small risk of infection. So it's pretty stark threat is what he's doing. It's just basically saying that social distancing is not going to end, and that people going out and communicating with each other is bad, and we shouldn't do that. He said even if the governments lift these shelter-in-place orders and businesses reopen, humans have a natural aversion to exposing themselves to disease. In other words, they've scared the shit out of them. So they're just going to avoid all of these places altogether. Sports will be played in an empty stadium. World economy will be depressed because demand will stay low. And this is exactly what they want. And then look at what this piece of crap actually says. He said life will only return to normal when most of the population is vaccinated. And if you're like me, or most of you guys are listening to this, that almost sends chills down your spine. And that could take a while, he said, though he hopes that one will be in mass production by the second half of 21 because they'll make a lot of money and it may make some people sick. We're not going back to normal. Social distancing is here to stay. The normal economy is never coming back. Easing the restrictions will lead to resurgence. We need to ready ourselves for a new way of living. So these are all threats. This is GGN. Thank you.